Let's, oh, there we are. Yeah, oh, I love these sensationalized articles that they, the print and news, well, and electronic media have. Like China wants to use the coronavirus to take over the world. What is that, April 3rd? Yeah, so the problem with this is that, they were saying how, let me see, what are some of these things they were saying? I think everything is arguable or disputable. See, what started as a catastrophe for China is shaping up to be a moment of strategic opportunity. Oh, let's see if I can turn it this way. I wonder if it'll come out properly. Right. We're at a turning point in the flow of history. Suddenly, the protests in Hong Kong, carrying a mortal threat to political stability in the mainland, became a physical impossibility. More important, the pandemic set in motion a global competition to contain the virus, for which China and Chinese Communist Party seem uniquely prepared. But so the problem with this part, though, is that we don't know whether they contained it or not, because it's a closed society, so you can't trust anything that comes out of it. And then they go on to say in the article, what is that? As the virus spread to the whole world, it became apparent that Western societies, Beijing's true rivals, did not have the ability to quickly organize every citizen around a single goal, as opposed to China, which remains to a large extent a revolutionary society. Their political systems were built for normal times. Chinese society is a mobilized army, which can quickly drop everything else and march in one direction. Doesn't mean the people are going to like it and agree with it. Because you could see that in Hong Kong with the thing that they just talked about. So we're saying that Hong Kong, they're the only Chinese people that don't agree with the government because they're a closed society. You don't know that. And so these variables aren't really, I understand that they need to get something out, to talk about that's some damn movie, to just discuss. But who says that everybody in China wants to be a communist, because we can't forget 1984, and I don't mean that movie 1984. No, what is it, 84 or 88? What is that, Tiananmen Square, where they had to fire on their own people, because the people wanted democracy, and they had democracy for a while. They had elections, and then the latest guy comes in and says, no more democracy, no more. Well, it's probably just fake democracy, no more fake democracy, and now we're going back to what it's always been. So we're not going to play, like we're democratic or anything. So Mao once said, everything under heaven is in utter chaos. The situation is excellent, and also it seems at present, let me see. Oh, what the hell is it? Also, it seems at present, as seen from Beijing, Chinese diplomats stationed all over the world spend their time raising the stakes to a dangerous level, following instructions from the very top. See, that's the problem right there, because since it's communist and it's ruled under one idea, one society, it's like you can't make all the rules. One person can't make all the rules for, the entire society, because society's dynamic. No matter where it is, everybody has different rules. And then, you're just not that smart. You're not God. Nobody's that smart, because then you have to take care of everybody's wants. That's why you have Hong Kong. That's why those people are, protesting in Hong Kong. And they're crapping in their pants, because they think that Tiananmen Square, they don't like those people. They don't like their government taking over. They want to be free, just like they see in Europe and America. And so that's why this is debunked. Let me see. Because they're acting like everybody wants that in China. This is like this. This article is pointing to the idea that everybody wants a communist government. And so the point, and everybody, but they can't mobilize all the people, because it's mostly a farm country also. It's not an industrial country. The only reason that they're at the level that they are is because they're the world's, what do they call that? They're the world's sweatshop, as it were. But the main thing is that I was going to get to, I think they talked about it later, they don't innovate. They don't create anything. They're the world's sweatshop, so everybody tells them what to do. So if they take over the world, what are they going to do? They don't know what to do with the world. They can't even fix their own country. And that's why it's America's the world's sweatshop. They say we don't want to be America's the world's sweatshop anymore. But then you have to innovate. But in a communist regime, people have to be free to think. People are not free to think. They're under they're under pressure all the time to conform. And like, what's their educational system? What are they going to do with the world after they take over? They can't control their own country. They don't innovate. Russia and China are known for stealing all the ideas and concepts from America. So if they take over the world, no snow, Doc. Let me see. And to compare the chaos in American cities and hospitals with what they see a regular success in stopping the epidemic in China. Yeah, again, lies. Not to try and be negative, but we don't know though. They can't be confirmed. You can come to America, and it's an open society, for the most part, because you have, this would not be allowed in China. This very this very news story, you would get killed because that Chinese doctor that first encountered it, they say they put him in jail or killed him or something like that, that died from it. They say he was arrested for actually telling the truth. So that's why, you don't know whether this is over in China or not. So and plus, like, if you go to China, you can't drink the water. If you come here, you can drink the water because they don't know how to, construct basic, human needs. So because they don't innovate. Let's see. Several commentators have suggested that China may be winning the coronavirus battle. Is stepping forward in providing medical help to affected countries, mostly in Europe, at a time when the United States is consumed with its own difficulties. That misses the point. Let me see. I think they just went into this. It kind of just like disputed his own point, unless I misread it. The cases have been multiplying where the medical equipment provided by Chinese companies and even the Chinese state turned out to be faulty. Did he just kick himself in the butt? Because he's saying that first the United States wasn't able to, provide its own medical equipment, but now they're saying the Chinese equipment was faulty that they sent to Europe, provoking justified okay, this doesn't make any sense. For example, he's not backing this up properly. Medical help is normal occurrence in a crisis. China has done nothing different except perhaps in the clumsy way it publicizes those efforts. Yeah, they don't trust that. They can't trust it. Nobody's going to trust a communist country because they control everything. They control the people. You don't really know what's going on, So you forget about mass diplomacy. It is no more than a distraction. There are other ways for China to use the coronavirus pandemic to upturn the existing global order. I see three levers. So, like, if everybody was, if they weren't trying to get out of, people weren't trying to get out of China, and go to other countries. It's like if you have a Chinese passport, they won't let you into another country. And there are a lot of countries around the world because they know everybody's poor. And so if they can get past that, because I think Singapore, they say, has the most accepted passport, and I think Singapore and some other Asian countries. So if they had that type of passport, because they know everybody in Singapore, they're not poor. And they're not going to come to your country and drain your resources. So nobody's going to try and get in there, get into your country illegally because they have a powerful passport. It's well accepted. China doesn't have that. So, they're not taking into account all of this information. So the numbers of cases and fatalities provided by Chinese authorities almost certainly misrepresent the real figures. Okay, good, by more than an order of magnitude, but the fact remains that a semblance of normalcy was achieved in a small period. So that doesn't make any sense, though. No, it's not the fact of the matter. It's not, the fact remains that it's not a fact because you just said that. You can't trust the figures, though, so that doesn't make any sense. He just contradicted himself. In the United States, if the United States failed to do the same, its prestige will suffer a severe blow. People all over the world will quickly change their perceptions about relative power and capacity. No, they won't. They're not going to quickly change their just, and they go, oh look, America did this. We better go with China. No way. Are you crazy? What planet are you on? Nobody's going to change their. Do you think Europe's going to change their and say, yeah, we better go with this communist country that doesn't innovate? Where the countries. China's still a third world country, guys. They can't feed their people. They have a large degree. I don't know. I think that, yeah, they have a large degree. Obviously, I don't really know what they have because you don't know what the truth that's coming out of there. They did say that like that there are certain Chinese groups. They're so rich that they come to the hell is that Bloomingdale's, and they have Bloomingdale's shut the door, and then they go in and buy millions of dollars of products and things like that. But I mean, how often can they do that? I mean, really, after until you run out of money, and but and how much can any one person buy? To be honest with you, but then what about the other? I mean, there are 2 billion, almost 2 billion people in China. If everybody in China could come to America and have and have them close the store, if all those billions, then you would have a point. But this is, I like this article because it has so many flaws. It gives you a lot to debate. It gives you a lot to argue. So forget about mass deployment. Oh wait, did I pass that? Mass deployment is no more than a distraction. There are other ways for China to use coronavirus to exist in global order. I see three main levers. See, the first one is the direct comparison between the situation in China and elsewhere. The numbers of cases, fatalities provided by China authorities almost certainly misrepresent figures. Right, no, did I just read this? Normalcy in a small period of time. Right, so yeah, we don't know that because we don't know where China is really at in terms of containing the virus, because it's a closed society. It's a communist society. Nobody's going to trust them. See, if and they have a crappy economy. Let's see, because they can't feed all their people. If they could start importing jobs and ideas the way the rest of the world imports jobs and ideas into China, then they'd have a semblance. But they're still they're still seen as a third world country, and they're still the world's sweatshop. The United States fails to do the same, the prestige will suffer a severe blow of the world. Right. So no, yeah. The second lever resides with industrial value chains. Last month, General Motors, closed their automotive production plants across the United States. I don't think this person understands what that means, in terms of combating a war, because the last time America closed its industrial complexes, they won World War II. So through innovation, other sectors have followed. In the meantime, China contained the war. China contained the worst of the pandemic. Again, you don't know whether China contained, because that's what they're telling you to one province. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this is a Chinese journalist or a party, a Chinese Communist Party journalist. Said, here, print this. Here's $20, allowing economic. Cause I can't believe how some, like those people in power, those in America, that's probably the only way they can get them. The politicians, how little money they take, and they get in trouble for like $5,000. That's all you took is $5,000, and you're losing your job and possibly going to prison. Damn politicians! And they say these guys are crap, man. And so they could possibly whittle in the back door, but even that is impossible, because somebody's going to find out that those idiots are idiots. Our politicians, the way they're low-life criminals. So the most recent data, but the problem is that those other countries, they're everybody. They're all low-life criminals. They're even lower-life criminals, than we have. Show renewed activity in the flow of goods across the country. So the problem with this, though, is quite dangerous, because you can't trust their numbers. So they could be spreading coronavirus even further, or a new virus, either intentionally or unintentionally as well. It's especially so soon at the shutdown. It's only been months. It has to be a year before they start shipping crap again. And plus, everybody's saying, I mean, if I'm thinking this, everybody else is probably thinking this. And the article just mentioned above that, it just mentioned that the faulty devices that they ship to Europe. So you think, fool me once, fool me twice type of thing. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me type of thing, as well as ports worldwide to do business with China. So if the freeze in Europe and America continues for much longer, Chinese companies will be able to dramatically expand market share and replace Western-led value chains. The problem with this, though, is that European countries, especially automobile countries, they're talking about moving out of China because of this, and not trusting them anymore, and because it started there, because they can't contain this stuff, because they're not a first world nation, and start actually doing business closer to home somehow, because even though they're saying that it's going to be more expensive, but at least they have something. Right now they can't accept anything out of China because they don't know whether it's contaminated, so it's freezing. Europe and America continues much longer. But I mean, Europe and America, again, they've experienced this in World War II, and even those economic downturns. Just in 2008, the whole world collapsed. So this is not like something they haven't experienced. But the other thing is that Europe and America innovate. China doesn't innovate. Europe and America aren't the world's sweatshop, but China is. So if the freeze, I'm not trying to badmouth China or anything, although I am, but these are the facts. I mean, these are undisputable facts. If the freeze, and this article doesn't cover enough information, and so if the freeze in Europe and America continues for much longer, Chinese companies will be able to dramatically expand market share and replace Western-led chains. Oh yeah, so just yesterday, Chinese authorities announced that manufacturing activity expanded in March, defying expectations of a contraction, bounced back to 52.0. What the hell is that? 52.0 what? So prepare for a worldwide wave of Chinese acquisitions at knockdown prices. Yes, it could end up being like the Rockefeller Center fiasco, where the Japanese they bought Rockefeller Center and then the price dropped. I think Standard and Poor's and things like that. Oh yeah, finally, in a move, in a more extreme scenario, important countries could experience the kind of economic shock that leads to widespread social and political collapse. Been there? World War II, and between World War II and 2008, they've experienced that. The world has experienced that so many times. At that point, China would have a unique opportunity to step in, provide aid, and refashion these countries in its image. Well, the problem with that is racism. Just racism. Like, white people are not going to trust Chinese people. So you're not factoring that in. They're just going to say, no, we'd really rather not. Let me see. It would look like a repeat of the Marshall Plan, the beginning of the American Order. So the difference between that is that they were all white people. Indonesia, South Asia, and even Russia might be of special interest in such a scenario. No, nobody's going to trust you. So those are the annals of racism. They're just not going to trust them. They're not going to trust a communist country to begin with. So, and they'll just quickly remobilize in America and Europe the same way they did in World War II. I mean, it's like the problem here is that they're leaving out is that America and Europe created this economy. China didn't. If China created this economy, then they'd have a little more expertise and know-how. So America and Europe, it's what we do. Sorry. We know how to create things. It's like we innovate. So, but China, they don't. The communist countries, they don't, because the people have no freedom to innovate. The communists, I think I read an article years ago, or maybe not years ago, where if you have a good idea, the government will steal it. So that's why they have no incentive to actually innovate, to take over. So even if they try and take over, they're going to quickly be pushed out. And if America, or I don't know if you even want to say when America and Europe decides to make that move, to say, sorry, China, we're going to curtail you. And then what's China going to do if America and Europe get together and say, we're going to curtail you, and they're not going to do anything. They say, look, we'll give you this, this, and this, just to be nice guys, but are you crazy? We're not going to let you take over anything. You're communist. Look at your country. What are you, crazy? You can't feed your own people. You're the world's sweatshop. Who the hell's going to let a sweatshop take over? It's like letting a sweatshop take over Amazon. Somebody that owns a sweatshop. But if the clash took place within the existing global trade and financial system, which was, of course, built according to Western rules, exactly what I just said. In principles, the United States was confident the battle could be decisively won, but what if it took place on neutral grounds? What if the world turned off? What if the world stopped spinning? And this is ridiculous. It's not a what if type of situation. It's a is, and this is, it's far-fetched. What if? No, there is no what if. Okay, where the hell did I just go? I lost my what if. Oh yeah, a kind of neutral, what is that? What if it took place in a landscape, a state of nature with few or no rules? We don't have any rules. It's made up as it goes along. It's made up as we go along, but that's the thing. See, when you're in a communist state, nobody has good ideas because they don't want to boost the communist state, because the communist state is going to ravage you and take all of your stuff for themselves, and they're going to live high off the hog. They're going to have the fancy cars, and they're just going to take your stuff because they're dogs, they're morons. So that's why this won't work. Again, a chaotic and quickly evolving back. I could be wrong there. So a background that the outcome would become considerably more uncertain. To put it more bluntly, there was always an argument that the existing world order cannot change because only a momentous war has done that. The past world wars have been impossible. What the hell does that mean? But in pandemics and soon in climate change, we may have found two functional equivalents of war. Yeah, and the communists always lose because they don't innovate. They don't do it. It's the world's sweatshop. Okay, good article. Thank you, though. I love these articles. These far-fetched articles. China wants. Oh, damn it! What the hell? I just went blurry. Why the hell did I just go blurry? I hate it when I go blurry. Okay, let me see if I can make sure that's the lead picture.